How are we today? Good. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Ruthanna. I'm the children's pastor here at the Woods, and if it's been the 500th time, let this be the 501st time. I want to tell you I'm so glad you're here today. And I also want to say, we talked about trunk or treat earlier, but I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to everybody who came, whether you donated candy, you did a trunk, you came through. It truly brought me tears of joy. And I was so blessed about the almost 900 people we got to share Jesus. And so if you haven't heard it yet, again, just thank you from the bottom of my heart. So in high school, I probably had about 4 friends, which is great. I loved the fact that I had 4 friends in high school because they were all that I needed. I loved them. I spent time with them. I cherished my friendships with them. And one day, one of my friends, she's this sweet, bubbly, outgoing girl, and she just is so selfless. And one day, she just wasn't. She had interrupted conversations, made everything about her. What could we talk about that went right back to something that she had experienced? And she became selfish and rude and just was not very fun to be around. And it became very hard to love her. It became very hard to be friends with her. And I was known as the peacemaker of my friend group. I kind of was everybody's friend, and I didn't have any rivalries with anybody. And so they all came up to me and was like, you need to figure out what's wrong. Why is she acting this way? Why do none of us want to show her love and compassion and be kind to her anymore? Why is she being this way? And so then I went because I had felt it. Not only was I asked to, and so I wanted to be a good friend to my other friends, but I just felt the need to check in on her. So I went and I talked to her and I said, hey, this isn't you, and it's really hard to love you right now, but I want to understand what you're going through. Is there something wrong? Well, turns out the year before her father had passed away, and it was around the anniversary of his passing, and it was Thanksgiving. And if you've ever lost a loved one, and I'm fortunate enough to have not lost many in my life, holidays are the worst because that's when you miss them the most. And she didn't know what else to do except take her grief out on other people. But if I hadn't known what was going on and I hadn't taken the time to stop and ask her, I would have just stopped loving her. And I wonder if we've been in a situation in our life where that's happened to us, where somebody just annoys us so much that we don't want to talk to them anymore. Maybe it was with a parent or a sibling or a friend that, like I had. But these lessons, when we learn to love them through whatever it is that they're going through, they teach us to be more like Jesus. And that's a really powerful thing. So today we're going to be talking about love and learning to love, and specifically learning to love others. And since today is Family Worship Sunday, I'm going to have some kids and teens involved in our service today. So I'm going to invite my friend Callie. She's going to come up. And while she's coming up, go ahead and open your Bibles and turn to Luke chapter 10. And we're going to start in verse 26, and she's going to read 26 through 28. Whenever you're ready.
Jesus replied, "What does the law of Moses say? How do you read it?" The man answered, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." "Right," Jesus told him. "Do this and you will live."
Good job. Thank you, Callie. Yes, go ahead and clap for her. She did so good. That's a pretty hefty command, if you ask me. Loving your neighbor and loving God at the same time. I don't know about you, but my tendency is to just want to love God because it's super easy to love God. Not only does God not talk back most of the time, but God doesn't do anything that makes me not want to love him. Loving others is a little bit of a different story. Sometimes they do things that make you not want to love them, but you can't love God and not love others too. And Jesus made it super clear that these two loves can't be separated. So to truly love God means that we also need to love others. And when we choose to do the right thing, it can look like a clip from one of the most educational TV shows on television, Bluey. In the episode of Bluey that we're gonna watch a clip from, Bluey builds herself the most perfect make-believe house out of couch cushions. And she's so happy because mom and dad and her sister build one too. And so this neighborhood is fantastic until Bingo decides to take over Bluey's reading nook with her collection of stuffed animals. And so Bluey doesn't know how to peacefully resolve the situation, so she goes to her mom and asks her for help. But her mom is also dealing with a nosy neighbor called their dad. And so mom demonstrates the power of being kind and firm with dad. And so then Bluey's able to find a compromise with Bingo that restores peace in their tiny little neighborhood. So take a look at this clip.
Bluey!
I just want to point out as a disclaimer, this may not happen in real life, okay? Not all of our situations are going to look exactly like Bluey. But Bluey does bring us a good point. Just like Bluey, we've all been in a situation where someone was doing something we didn't like, we didn't want to ask them why they were doing it, and we needed a little more patience and kindness and understanding, instead of just feeling frustrated or annoyed. But before we can love others well, we need to understand who our neighbor is. So in Luke 10:29, the man wanted to justify his actions, so he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" And in the story we're about to read, Jesus tells us that our neighbor includes anybody who is in need, regardless of whether or not there's something about them that we don't like. Because sometimes, and I'm preaching to myself in this moment, we tend to limit our love. Our love is like a line. It starts here, and then we go and we love, and then we get to a point where we say, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Our love is a straight line, but God's love is a circle. It has no starting point, and it has no ending point. His love has no limits. And he loves his neighbors well, because our neighbors are anyone in need, regardless of if there's something about them that we don't like or they do something that we might not agree with. And I wonder if you can think of somebody in your life who loves like God, or he loves with no limits. It has no beginning and no end. And someone in the Bible who did a really good job at this was the Good Samaritan. So we're still in Luke, we're still in chapter 10, but we're going to be in verses 30 through 37. Jesus replied with a story. A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him up, and left him half dead beside the road. By chance, a priest came along, but when he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and walked away. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him lying there, but he also passed by on the other side. Then a Samaritan man, a despised Samaritan man, came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and bandaged him up. Then he put the man on his very own donkey and took him to an inn, where he took care of him. The next day, he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, and then he told the innkeeper, "Take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you the next time I'm here." Now, which of these 3 would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by bandits? Jesus asked. The man replied, "The one who showed him mercy." Then Jesus said, "Yes, now go and do the same. So in this story, Jesus is describing a man traveling from Jerusalem all the way down to Jericho, which can be very dangerous by yourself. And then the worst happens. He's attacked, and he's beaten, and he's left half dead on the side of the road. But don't worry, a priest is here to save the day. Super religious guy. He obviously has all of the answers to our problem. He's going to help us. But then right by us he goes, and he doesn't even look. But don't worry, we have another shot. A religious assistant comes by, temple's assistant comes by. He's going to help us. He's a religious leader too. He's got all of the answers. He walks by. Oh man, here comes the Samaritan. What's he going to do? Nobody likes him. He has nothing to offer us. But he stops, and he helps. He puts us on his own donkey, his ride. It'd be like giving somebody your car and giving them your bank card. He gave all of his money to make sure that this person he didn't know was helped. And the difference between these is the priest and the Levite saw a person with a problem that they didn't want to provide the solution for. But the Samaritan saw a person with a need that they could meet. I don't know about you, but I fall short in that area many times. And I wonder what would happen if we started seeing people the way that a Samaritan saw him. Instead of seeing them as a problem with a solution we don't want to give, we see them as a person with a need that we're able to meet. Instead of seeing a lazy parent, we see a person who's just overwhelmed and doesn't know what to do except to stop. Instead of seeing a child who's acting out in a bad way, we see a person who just wants to be noticed and loved. Instead of seeing somebody who just won't leave us alone, we see a person in need of being noticed and having a friend. And our love doesn't draw lines. It crosses them. And Jesus crossed the ultimate line of showing us love when he died for us. I don't know about you, but I'm so glad that I can cross the line of love and not have to give my life. What a blessing it is. But Jesus said, no, I'm okay with dying for you and showing you this love so that you can show love to others. Because love doesn't draw the lines, it crosses the lines. And it costs something. Time, comfort, our reputation. And it just means something like giving up your Starbucks money for the week to buy somebody lunch and have a conversation with them. Because that's what they need. Standing outside in the cold for 10 minutes to intentionally listen to someone's story because you're the only one that's willing to. Being okay with looking silly for stopping and praying with someone in a grocery store. And finding joy in being known as the person who will always help and listen and pray with anybody who needs it. Because our neighbors are anybody in need. It doesn't matter who they are or what they've done. They're our neighbor, and we need to cross the line of love and be just like Jesus. And the Samaritan, I love it. He didn't ask what's going to happen to me if I stop. He instead asked what's going to happen to that guy if I don't stop. It doesn't matter what I'm going to have to face. It's going to matter what he has to. And that's the heart of Jesus' story. What's going to happen to them, not to me? And we can't be true followers of Jesus if we only feel compassion but never act on our compassion. Because true love moves from emotion into action. Every day we're passing by people who are hurting, whether it's physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, whether we see it or we don't. And love doesn't just see them. Love stops for them. Because true love moves from emotion into action. And don't miss the fact that Jesus is the ultimate Good Samaritan. He finds us broken by our sin when we're not able to help ourselves. He comes to where we are laying on the side of the road. He lifts us up, pays the price for our healing through his death, and then he promises to come back. And then he calls us to go and do the same thing. And sometimes it's kind of hard to physically imagine what this outpouring of love looks like. So I thought I'd do a little demonstration for you. So I've asked my helper, Mr. Jace, and he's going to come up here and help me with my demonstration. So use both hands and pour it slowly, okay? The middle one right here. So when we let Jesus, you can go a little faster. Keep going, keep pouring, whole thing. The whole thing's going in there. When we let Jesus overflow our cup of love, it then flows to other people, and then their cup overflows, and then their cup overflows. All right, do it. You got it. You keep going. Just pour the whole thing in there. You're doing great. Yeah, that's how you do it. Good job, buddy. You did great. Good job. Yeah, didn't you do great? When we let Jesus fill our cup of love, it fills into the next person. And then they're empowered to show love to somebody else. And then those people show love until everybody is shown the love of Jesus. How awesome is that? But first, God needs to fill our cup. Because our love for God and our love for others are inseparable. You cannot have one without the other. Like you cannot have peanut butter without jelly. And husbands, you cannot live life without your wife. That's right, Wally. Love for God and love for others are inseparable. We need it. So I have some homework for you. Yes, it's easy homework, I promise. Don't just walk by someone. Stop and talk to them. Don't just feel compassion for someone, show compassion for someone. And don't just love because it's easy. Love because it costs something, and Jesus paid the cost for you. So go ahead and give up your Starbucks money to pay the cost for someone else. Good job, Spencer. Because love that stops and love that helps and love that heals looks a whole lot like Jesus. Because love sees people, love feels for people, and love acts on their behalf. So I want you to go and be the neighbor that somebody desperately needs this week. Because you never know. You might be the only Jesus they ever get to meet. Go and show the love that somebody needs. You could be the only Jesus they ever get. That's a big responsibility, but we can do it. Because the way we love other people matters. And so in just a moment, we're going to transition to communion. And as we prepare and as you come and receive the elements, I want you to think about somebody in your life who needs to experience Jesus' love, who is so desperate to experience their love, and how you can be that love. So I'm going to invite the pastors forward, and I just want you to know that we have open communion. If you love Jesus and you want to have a relationship with him, you can take communion. If you don't want to receive communion, but you want a blessing, you can just cross your arms. So what's going to happen is we're going to have 3 pastors. We're going to have one in each of the rows. Come out to your left, come forward, grab it, and then go back up the right side. All right? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for the Good Samaritan and the way that he shows us how to love like you. And I praise you for the way in which we get to love somebody like a true neighbor this week. And I pray for the communion we're about to receive and that you gave your life for us and that we get to share just some of that love with others. I pray that if there's somebody in this room who learned something about you today, that you would empower them to go and to share it.